Hello and welcome to another episode of Building a Business, Grit and Grace. My name is Angelova. I'm a host of this weekly podcast, and together with me, I have the pleasure of having the first actually US guests, Brian and Sally, who are really close to us in Michigan. So, hi, Brian and Sally. Welcome to the podcast. It's so great to have this conversation with you today. And why don't you start by introducing yourself and tell about a little bit about the story behind what you do and Gilbert Chocolates?
Well, I'm Sally of the team, and we bought Gilbert Chocolates 12 years ago, and it's been a while since we'd had a business or since we've been doing anything like that, and so it's been an interesting thing. We never had done this. Gilbert Chocolates involves retail as well as manufacturing, and that was a totally new area for both of us, and so it's been an exciting journey.
And the company is celebrating 125 years, right?
Yes, 125 years in Jackson, Michigan. So we're kind of a big deal here in Jackson. Um, and we're one of the oldest chocolate companies in the entire state of Michigan. So yeah, we're pretty good at what we do. Our chocolatiers are great. The candies are wonderful. And a few years ago, we built and opened a new factory. So that was a big change and very, very beneficial. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Being in the chocolate business is kind of sweet.
No pun
Oh,
intended,
yeah.
right?
Pun intended.
Okay.
Oh well, yeah, I can imagine it. I don't think I can do this. Like chocolates are so sweet.
Yes,
It's
when Brian got the reason we bought the business was because Brian was consulting at the time, and
Mhm.
he met with the owner of the chocolate company, and we lived about 45 minutes from Jackson, and so he brought home a candy bar, and he said, "Here, try this," and it was a dark chocolate, and I said, "Wow, this is really good." And he said, "Yeah, this came from Gilbert Chocolates," and it was my introduction to Gilbert Chocolates. So the owner of the company, Brian, had given him suggestions on how to improve his business. And the owner said, "Well, I'm just so old, I think I'm going to just sell the business." And that was when Brian decided he wanted to buy it. And so then when he talked me into it, and I have really loved it ever since. The chocolate is wonderful.
Mhm. I'm actually looking forward to tasting this one. We might be
Uh,
coming to Michigan next week, so
Oh,
Oh yes, well stop in. We'll be glad
yeah.
to meet you.
oh, definitely, definitely. And you transitioned from like kind of a corporate world, and Sally, I think you transitioned from like writing into
Yeah,
chocolate entrepreneurship.
yeah, yeah.
So I was an automotive executive. Worked for a large automotive supplier, and I was in charge of operations and a portion of the engineering. And so after a while, I got tired of that, and I decided to leave, and I became a consultant, which I did for 10 or 12 years. And that's actually how like Sally said, how I came upon Gilbert Chocolates. I was consulting to them. The improvement plan that they needed to undertake was difficult, and the owner didn't want to go through it. So Sally and I decided to buy it, and we've been doing it for 12 years now. And we now have three stores here in southeastern Michigan, and the sales have pretty much tripled since the day we bought the business.
Oh wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
What do you think make the biggest difference, like for you to be able to triple? Like you as a consultant, you already had a path forward, obviously. Like you provided a plan for the company.
Well, a couple of things. One of them is we opened a second retail store. So Gilbert had ran with one retail store for many years, and so we opened a second store. That helped some. After about 3 years, we decided to um, open a factory in downtown Jackson. We'd been on the outskirts of town, and so when we opened that factory, we put a storefront in front of the factory. So we ended up with a third store, and opening the factory was really a big deal. It made a lot more difference for the company than I thought it would when we did it. And then we've steadily worked on our web presence, and so we have a pretty nice e-commerce site nowadays, and so people around the country can buy Gilbert chocolates, and we'll mail them to them. It's hard to mail to Canada because of
Oh
duties
yeah.
and customs, but around the United States, we send a lot of chocolate. In fact, the year before we bought Gilbert Chocolates, they had $1,500 in for the entire year in online sales, and now at Christmas time we'll have 20 or 30 days that are higher than that annual amount. So we sell a lot of chocolate online now. We probably could sell a lot more, but a lot more than we did 10 years ago.
I would say one of the best things about when we first bought the company was that Brian was already familiar with operations. He was already an executive in the past, and so his background really suited him to buying a business and then making it grow. So those things make a big difference when you already know how to do a lot of things that the average person might not know because they haven't had that background. So that was a huge reason for our success too.
That's a great point because, like you said, this business involves manufacturing as well and like operations, and not everyone can step in and do what you have done, like this amazing growth and continuing the traditions at the same time.
Yeah, we
And
brought a lot of this stuff back. In the past, the previous owner had started buying his chocolate covered cherries, and we found the machine that makes the chocolate covered cherries, and so we started making them again ourselves. And he had been purchasing, because he was older, and that's just what they were doing. He was purchasing his peanut butter cups from somebody else and reselling them, and we make our own now. And so those things have also helped expand the market for us too.
very, very interesting. And one thing is that not a lot of people think about buying a business, right? Like a lot of people think about, oh, how can I start my own business? But like buying a business, existing business is so much different because like I said, there are already things that are being done there. And when you step in with new perspective, like you bring something that the previous owners didn't even think about or consider. And one thing I'm wondering, like if you don't mind sharing, um, of course, like Brian, you knew about the business, right? Like you were consulting, so you were very familiar with the business. So you already had a visibility into, yes, this is a business that it makes sense. Like the financials are there. Like we can continue building it and even make it better. With the process of buying an existing business, what were some of the things that you faced, like things that like thinking about, like did you need any kind of additional financing, like any kind of things that steps you took to be able to do this, to buy the business? And I think, Sally, I also heard you mention before that you tried to buy a business before that, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you obviously tried
This
once.
is much better.
That's fantastic. So yeah,
Yeah.
if you can share a little bit, because a lot of people are wondering, how do you do this, right? How do you buy the existing business?
Well, so I am an engineer. I'm an operations guy, so manufacturing is kind of what I've done my entire life, my entire work life, and so that is my strength. I do that stuff kind of naturally. I don't have to think about it. It's easy for me. Um, but there's things that I don't do, like sales and marketing, and that stuff is hard, even very hard for me because it's not in my wheelhouse. It's not what I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, yeah.
In any business, whether you're coming at it from an engineering operations standpoint or a marketing sales standpoint, there's going to be pieces of that business that you don't understand, that you aren't comfortable with, or you may think you understand it and find out you don't. For us, buying an established brand, because here in Jackson, Gilbert's was definitely an established brand. They had a huge fan base, and so buying an established brand took a lot of the pressure off for us because I had the engineering skills and the marketing and the operation skills to do the other things. So we kind of grew the brand by opening a store about half an hour from here. We grew the brand by increasing our online presence, which at that point was really more of a technical issue, fixing some problems with the website. And, the operations stuff, we have 5 ladies who make 90% of the chocolates for us, and they have made it forever. I mean, forever as long as we've been here. It's the same employees that were here the day we started, and they make those candies. We've tripled our sales. We had 4 ladies the day we bought it, and now we have 5. And we tripled our sales in doing that. And we brought a lot of the candy in-house. Peanut butter cups, cherry cordials, those sorts of things. It's like, we have a chocolate company. Why are we buying chocolates from other people? So we did a lot of that operations type stuff as well.
But you did ask about the financing at the beginning, and one of our goals was not to go into a lot of debt. And so we used savings. That was part of it. We did take a small loan from Brian's dad. And that first year, believe it or not, it was tough. I do remember that the sales were way down that Christmas. The person we bought it from, we were good friends with him, but he was really mean to us. He wouldn't sell us the company until November 1st, which is, when you're in the retail business, that's really not a nice thing to do. But on the other hand, he did stay with us for a year and help us navigate the retail, since it was something that we were just unfamiliar with. But I do remember that first year, trying to catch on to retail in the Christmas season was extremely difficult. And I remember there was a couple of times when I heard some people saying, "Oh, it's just not the same." And so even though it was new to the people in town knew that the business had been sold, and there were people in town who were looking forward, or they were looking for it to not be as good, or to fail or something. And so we had to keep. And so that first year was difficult, but like you said, we bought a favorite son, essentially, of Jackson, and so I was always confident that we were going to succeed, but that first year was a little difficult.
Thank you so much for sharing, being so vulnerable and sharing that it's not all.
Yeah,
stuff, right?
we were worried about ordering things because we didn't know how much to order, and how and the truffles, they were just disappearing, and we didn't know what we should do, and it was not easy that first year.
So you did mention that the previous owner, he stayed and helped a little bit.
Yes.
What else helped you throughout this period? So like you said, you already, like you knew that yes, you will succeed. Like you had the belief that you'll succeed. But what else helped you go through this initial challenging period and ultimately be where you are today?
Prayer.
That's the truth.
Yeah. We're people of faith, and so the faith helps a lot, and we knew that the Lord was with us. So at the end, we knew. Yeah. At the time this happened, our kids were in college, and so they didn't know this was going on, and so at Christmas time they came home, and we introduced them to chocolates for the first time. And our daughter, who was in her junior year, I think, in college, said, "Dad, I just want to let you know how much I approve of this purchase." So, yeah. And she's the one who said these peanut butter cups aren't good enough for Gilbert Chocolates, so we have to figure out how to make our own. So. And
that first year, when we bought it in November, the power in the factory was out for a week, right after we bought it. And it was like, what do we do? We got to make candy. And then at Christmas time, it was the worst winter I can remember. It was 13, 14. And there was a huge ice storm that went through Lansing. And they were without power for a week. The mall we were at still had power. But it was just amazing how difficult that year was. So, but we made it. But it was tough. And so don't give up if it's tough.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've heard this, that those challenging times, they come to for us to be able to prove that yes, we want this, we can do this, and see where you are now, 12 years later. And
Yeah.
I do think I remember that storm you were talking about, because I think that ice storm, it was here in Canada as well, and
It was
the
dreadful.
power outages.
We just bought this business and we couldn't sell the candy because it was just dreadful. It was a tough winter.
Oh yeah, it was. And but now you are like 12 years later. Like you said, you've tripled the business, and you have the online presence, which is so important for 21st century. And you talked a little bit about how important this company, this brand is for the community, for where you are. And this is one thing that I would like to hear a little bit more about. Like, it's a small company, like local company. Uh, how do you have such a big footprint in the community? Like, what are some of the things that you can share about this aspect of the business?
Well, John Gilbert is the one who built the business. He started this company here in 1900. He and his wife Mary. I shouldn't leave Mary out because she was integral to it as well. But he was like a one-man show, and he just expanded his business to where they had factories in Los Angeles and in Scranton, Pennsylvania. So he was just a great salesman. They actually had sold to the Army back in the World War II. And then when he passed away is when the company kind of fell on hard times because he had outlived his children and his grandkids didn't want the business. And so two of his employees actually purchased it, and they kind of ran it from a little cottage out and it just, it just lost a lot of its business. And then when the previous owner from us bought it from them, he was building it back up. But then when Brian and I bought it, we have been working two people could work a lot harder at than one. And so we've worked really hard at building it up. So it had a great history. It had 200 employees here at one time in Jackson working here. Wow. Now we have about 25. So a lot of people might remember their grandmother working here, or their great aunt or something. And so that's part of the allure of it for Jackson. You have anything to add to that?
Let's talk chocolate now.
All right.
Yes, a little bit about the chocolate. And first question I'll start with is actually, do you have any favorites?
My stock answer to that is whatever I am eating at the moment. But really, the caramel pecan patties are to die for. They are very good, the best I've ever had. And so that's probably my favorite. Nuts and caramels and chocolates. I mean, it's a dream.
Yeah.
And my favorite would be probably the dark vanilla cream. But, it's like he says, I love our chocolate covered pecans as well. And I will tell people when they come in, I'll say, oh, I love these milk chocolate pecans. They're so good. They're my favorite. And then I'll say, but, then I eat the dark chocolate covered pecans. And I'll say, oh, those are so good. Those are my favorite. So, yeah, it's kind of like you said. There's just lots of them.
Oh, yeah.
The trick on the product side, the trick that we have is we use really fresh ingredients. So we buy the pecans that we use straight from the pecan farm in South Georgia. And so we have great chocolates and fresh ingredients and make them close to the time that you sell them. You kind of got everything in line that you need to have in order to have good candies. And that's what we do. And so our chocolates, it's not unusual to, make chocolates today and take them to the stores tomorrow.
Yeah, this is actually amazing because we've all probably tasted the box store. Like, you go and you buy something and it's stale. So that's definitely fantastic. I think there's something called bean to bar chocolate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we're familiar with that.
So what is this?
So bean to bar it's kind of a trendy thing right now, and it's small chocolate makers who will actually buy the cocoa beans straight from the farmers or straight from a co-op that sells them, bring them in, grind them, mix the chocolates, the sugars, the other ingredients that go into a chocolate bar in their shop and make a candy bar out of it. There's a lot of variety in that. Most of the bean to bar candies that I've had or chocolates that I've had are coarse ground, so they're gritty in your mouth. Some people like that. I don't. Sally does. Um, and, but some are fine ground, high quality chocolates as well. But they're small lots, usually very expensive and very customized. Um, Not really for the mass market very
We've
much.
done some bean things, like we tried to make roasting them. We roasted chocolate beans and tried to make a drink out of it, and it just uh, there are a few people who really love the trendy stuff, and then everybody else. And generally, we can make some things customized, but we really cater to everybody else, the 90%, that want their favorite chocolate candy. We do make a dairy-free bar, and we call it our vegan bar, and so we do some of it, but we don't do a lot of it. We don't do the bean to bar. Like you said, I do like it, but we don't do it ourselves.
Yeah, our dairy-free bar would be in that category of being the bar. And we make those because we can't find high quality dairy-free chocolates to buy. Um, but we may sell 50 pounds of that a year. We make around 30,000 pounds a year. So even though we have it and people who want it appreciate it, it's more of a service than a product for us.
And this actually, I think it brings us well to one of the things that you're doing. Like you brought the company to 21st century with the website and online presence and these kind of things. And you've introduced some older things. So how do you balance the innovation with tradition? Like you said, you've tried new things. Some things work, some don't. So it's really interesting to hear how do you balance this and explore new things while also keeping the traditional ones.
That's a really good question, and it is kind of trial and error sometimes. We do that a lot with our fudge, for example, and then we've done that with creams too. We've brought them in, and then they just don't sell. We stop them, that sort of thing. We tried bacon flavored or bacon smoked caramels, and we finally stopped selling them because they just didn't move fast enough. So yeah.
Really, the customers dictate what we keep, right? So we've done several things over the years. We switched to making our our own cordial cherries, our own peanut butter cups, and that was a smash success. The customers liked it more, and so they bought more, and so we kept that. Um, we There's a trend going in the chocolate world now. You may have heard about it, called Dubai chocolates. And so that's a big fad going on right now. It's been going for a couple years. It may turn out to be more than a fad. And so we had customers. Literally, we have a store in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is where the University of Michigan is at. We had college students come in and say, we want Dubai chocolates. And it's like, great, what are Dubai chocolates? So we had to figure out what it was, figure out how to make them. And so we now make and sell Dubai chocolates. And that's something that's working well right now. But if the customers don't like it, it doesn't matter if it's a trend or not. And a lot of those trends, they're internet trends. They're not real world trends. So we'll try them, and we do try them. But if the customers don't support it, then we just go on. Um, and we have 250 different chocolates in our store. So even if we're trying something trendy and the customers don't like it, they still don't have to buy it. They still have the traditional stuff to buy if that's what they want. Another thing we did that was we changed our caramel formula for our pecan caramel snapper. So it's a less chewy caramel. It's softer. It's easier to eat. And that was a smash hit too. People really like that.
It's interesting to hear, and it's definitely, you're right, that the market tells you, right? Like when customers like it and buy it, yes, and testing, like trial and error. You never know what people will like, and definitely a very, very cool business. And
Yeah, it is. It's a fun business to be in.
Yes.
And what is it like working together? You know.
Well, it took about 3 years, I guess, of making it work, but now it's really nice. I like it. I like it a lot. In fact, we had gone from, he used to be gone all the time, 70 hours a week, and then we're together now 24/7, and it was a big change, but it's a good change. But it just took a while. We had to figure out our roles and not step on each other's toes, and that sort of thing, and so it's trial and error.
Yeah, I was an executive at an automotive supplier, and when I told somebody to do something, they would do it, and that doesn't work so well with your wife.
Yeah.
Even if it's the right thing to do, it's not the right way to do it. And so it took me, when she said it took us 3 years, what she means is it took Brian 3 years to not be a pushy old boss.
He hasn't stopped that. I'm sorry. I've just learned to be more assertive. I would say that was probably the hardest thing for Brian was the type of employee that he works with now.
Yeah.
And it's for me it wasn't hard because I raise kids, and so I'm used to people not listening. Whereas he had, when he in his job, everybody, they jump when you say say jump, and so that was probably the biggest change for him that came along. And for me, I was just used to it. It's like, yeah, that's the way people are. Calm down.
The chocolate business is a business that's pretty much filled with women.
Yes.
And so most of the time, I'm the only male employee of Gilbert Chocolates. Right now, we have one of our sales associates.
Two
of our sales associates that are men. But most of the time, it's just one, and it's just been me over the years. And so, yeah, it's a different, and we're much closer too, right? So we got 25 employees. We got 5 here in the factory. We're together every day. And so you're not just the boss, you're a friend, and if they think you're doing it wrong, they really don't mind telling you that they think you're doing it wrong. And that's okay, and I like it. It's the way I want it to be. But when you come from a position where you're the big boss, and it's just different. It's a lot different.
Yeah, from corporate world, especially like manufacturing, like
Yes.
automotive, like where I can imagine what the difference. Yeah, but fantastic though.
Yes,
looks like
he does
things
he wouldn't have known to do. When you own a business like this, Brian is our plumber some days. If the computer breaks down, yeah. Oh, cool's right.
It's not that cool.
If something breaks, like at our store the other day, there was a leak in the sink, and so he had to go and fix it. It's you could, I suppose, now if it was just me, I'd have to call somebody and we'd be waiting for who knows how long, and then pay a big plumber's price. So that's the other thing, that if you're going to own a small business, it is really good to be handy as well. The other issue we have with the Gilbert Chocolates that's probably unusual is that the employees ratio is that we need a lot of people right now, and then come June, we don't need very many because the chocolate business has suddenly dropped off, and so finding seasonal help can be a real challenge. And the older we get, we have to have seasonal help because we just can't do it all. And so that's probably one of the biggest challenges of our small business that we own.
This is a very good point as well, because there is definitely like with the holidays, like even Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then I can imagine Valentine's Day.
Yes, Valentine's Day is big.
Maybe
and
Mother's Day.
Easter and Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and probably like around these holidays, and then summer is slow for everyone. But like you said, the seasonal part is interesting, and that's a great point. I'm actually curious. So you've been doing this for like more than a decade now. So have you found anything that helps you with these seasonal changes where, like you said, at some point you need more people, then you need you don't need that many people in other parts of the year. So anything that has worked for you that you think you can share with others?
So one of the big revelations for us was when we first took it over, we knew the seasonality, but we thought we could fix it. We could increase sales in the summertime. We could, you know, spread the sales out over more evenly over the year. And early years, we spent a couple big marketing campaigns trying to increase the sales. And what we learned was don't do that again. So we can't really change the seasonality. So when we do, promotions and stuff, we focus them around like the big three holidays because it's a lot easier to increase sales when the people want to buy it than trying to create new demand in the middle of the summer. Now our sales in the summer are up, but just because all of our business is up. Christmas is still 30 or 40% of our annual business. Valentine's Day is still 20 or 30%, and everything else fills in the details. And that's just the business. We can't change that. We have to accept it.
One of the things we did that increases some of work for us in the summer is we have these chocolate fountains, and that is generally a graduation kind of thing that we go and do graduations. So that brings in some different, employment, I guess. But Brian and I generally do that. We also have a chocolate loft now, and that we like doing that in the summer because we're not as busy. But that's where people can rent the room and they can make chocolates. We're with them, and they can have a chocolate party and make their own candy and take it home with them at the end of 2 hours. And so that's one way we have tried to increase business in the summer.
Oh, that's an interesting activity for the summer.
Yeah.
With summer vacation and
Yeah.
It's actually cool. Yeah,
We had like bridal parties and that sort.
And birthday
parties.
Yeah.
Anniversaries.
Generally, it's families. They come up and they just have a really good time together for 2 hours while Brian and I help them make chocolates. So that's one of the ways we increase business in the summer.
Yeah, that makes so much sense because it aligns with what people are doing during the summer, like some of those activities. Great insights. Thank you so much. Great insights. No, you did mention one word a few times, and I wanted to just ask about it. Like you mentioned quality, and like you did say that like you are like sourcing now things directly, and a lot of your products, like the produce that you're getting, like from the farm, like it's fresh. So it sounds like quality is really important for you. If you can share a little bit more about the importance in the chocolate business.
Yeah, so quality is important. Freshness is important. Early on, when we first took it over, we're willing to do a lot of things, but we're not willing to do anything that will change the quality of the product. So in the chocolate business, a lot of the big companies, they make 1,000 times more chocolate than we do, and they've had to do things for productivity, for automation, and changing the recipes. Not so much, but some. And the taste, the flavor profile changes, and we're just not willing to do that. I'm an engineer. I like automation, and we put some automation in place, but nothing that affects the actual operation. So the recipes are the same, and they're the same because that's what we are. That's who we are. And if we just become another chocolate maker, then we would be sacrificing the legacy of John Gilbert, and we're just not willing to do that. So I've talked to a lot of people over the years that have had these ideas and went out and started businesses, and they get this idea for some reason that they have to like grow huge or it's not even worth trying. And that's just so untrue. And it's so much of the reason why so many small, especially new small businesses never succeed, because they go out and buy, $250,000 pieces of equipment and the sales don't support it and the bank wants their money back and then you're done. And so, understanding, that growing huge isn't really the goal. Yeah, you have to grow, but you don't have to be huge, and you don't have to make huge risk in order to grow. So we've taken small risk, but nothing that ever would put the company in jeopardy. So that's kind of the thing I would say, and I have said to friends who have wanted to start a business is, yeah, I want to make $1 million a year in 3 years. Well, you're not going to. There's like 1 in 100 companies or entrepreneurs that make that kind of jump. And so you might as well just save your money because you're not going to have it. You're not going to have it after a few years because you're not going to sell $1 million in a few years. It takes a long time to do that. And if you try to do it fast, you're probably going to fail. And we're willing to, we want to get better, we want to be bigger, but we're not going to make trade-offs. We're not going to take risk with the company. This company's been here for 125 years, and the people of Jackson would run us out of town on a rail if we ruined
Literally,
it.
they would. Yes. We are just the caretakers of Gilbert Chocolates. I would say towards this also as well that, for example, for the slow growth kind of thing, we were given the opportunity several years back to have a kiosk at Christmas time at the Briarwood Mall, which is in Ann Arbor. And so we decided that we had it for 4 weeks, this kiosk, and we found employees, fortunately. The Lord gave us employees. And we did that for 3 or 4 years. And then after 2020, there was a chocolate company that was in all the malls that decided to leave all the malls. And when they left, the mall asked us if we wanted their store space. And so it was very easy then to choose to move into the store space of where that previous chocolate company had been. And it just automatically made that store much more profitable because it was in the right place at the right time. And we had been there for 3 years. So, sometimes doing those smaller things do lead to bigger things and better things. But you got to do the little thing first and do it well. And then you might be growing.
Yes, at the foundations, absolutely. Yeah, you need to have something to step on and be able to grow like this.
Yeah.
Great example. The holiday season is starting. Halloween is like just around the corner. It's like as we are talking, it's September 30th today. So all these things are starting. What's coming for the holiday season now? Any new flavor product, something that you want to share?
Well, we will be doing a lot of the Dubai chocolates once again, which is just in case your listeners haven't heard of them. It's kind of like baklava, liquid baklava that's inside of chocolate. So it's got that Mid-Eastern flair to it, and so it's got pistachios and phyllo dough in it, and so it's got that kind of flavor. It's not nearly as sweet as most chocolates, so people who don't like their super sweet stuff tend to really like the Dubai chocolates. Most of the stuff, though, 95% of our sales are going to be the same things that they were last year. We're going to sell tons and tons of pecan caramel patties, just tons, literally. Every time we turn around, we're making more of them. We're going to sell tons of caramels and lots of creams and chocolate-covered peanuts and pecans and Brazil nuts and walnuts, all those things that the traditional chocolates. You see these things in the stores and in the magazines about, the new trend in chocolates. Yeah, they may be a trend, but people are going to buy the caramels and the nuts and the same thing they always have. So we focus on being really good at those things.
And high quality.
Yeah. Fantastic. And to wrap things up, how can people connect with you, where they can find you? You mentioned you have the website, you have a few locations in Michigan. So where can people find you?
www.gilbert, Gilbert, chocolates, CHOCOLATES.com. It's an e-commerce site. You can order from there. We have shipped to Canada. It's expensive because they charge us duties, and it's just
really hard.
It's really hard.
If you can cross the bridge and come over yourself, it's better.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But we ship all over the United States all the time, and really a lot to California, a lot to Texas, a lot to Florida. Those are the big areas outside of course, Michigan. So
we also have a subscription base. If someone wanted to order something every month to come to them, we have a subscription service that we offer on our website as well. So people can do that too, and it arrives every month.
Oh wow, that's so awesome! Chocolate every month.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. And we do have the store in Ann Arbor, which is in Briarwood in Ann Arbor, and then 2 here in Jackson as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much again, Brian and Sally. Like, it's been a pleasure hearing your story and the amazing things you are doing at Gilbert Chocolates, and go Lions.
Yeah, that's right.
We've been to a couple of games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, it was such a pleasure. And definitely next week. Yeah, I think next week we'll be coming to Michigan, so we'll go try some chocolates.
All right. Introduce yourself when you come, okay?
Oh, definitely. We'll let you know.
All righty.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
All right. Bye.